Well, hi there, and welcome to the Loom Lounge. I was going to say the live lounge, but it's a live stream, and it's the Loom Lounge live. Yeah. My name is Stephen Reid. I am the VP of Learning Experiences at Endless Access, and also I am the creative director of Threadbare. More on that intro in a minute, but Heather, over to you for your Access intro.
Wonderful. It's exciting to be here today. My name is Heather Drolet, and I am the Director of Learning Programs here at Endless Access. We're excited to talk about Threadbare today. That's why we're here.
Absolutely are, yeah. So a little bit about our backgrounds. Heather, why don't we start with you? Tell us what brings you to this table and why this Loom Lounge has you sitting front and center.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited to be here, both in this live stream, but also at Endless Access. I've been working here for about 4 years, and prior to that, I was an educator in the US, teaching every age from age 5 all the way through graduate school. I've done a lot of teaching over my years, and I'm excited to say that I've done a lot with technology, computer science, and games in education. And so here at Endless Access, what we focus on is using games to teach digital skill development and future-ready skills. So we're going to get into that a little bit more today. But Stephen, you want to give your background?
I do. Thank you. And you've earned your stripes with all those students. My background is similarly plus 20 plus years in education, but very specifically focused my entire career on using video games to teach. So from the very, very beginning, I was using Command and Conquer Red Alert and Tomb Raider and a whole bunch of other games. We're going way, way back now on the original PlayStation 1. And then I made a career out of that. I audited video games, some 174 now, I think, or 175. Actually, 175 if you include Threadbare. And then audited those games, wrapped them in curriculum, wrapped them in pedagogical practice, and then moved around the world and helped teachers to embrace game-based learning. That journey took me to over 70 countries. It took me to Microsoft. I worked with a whole bunch of different companies, game development companies, and also education customers and clients, and eventually moved into Endless in the capacity that I am here right now, because the change for me was, how do we move the learners that I was working with as consumers of those games in that game-based learning sphere, and they were learning, but it was still consumption, to the development of the games themselves. And that's the heart of our journey, Heather.
Yeah, and it's really exciting to have the opportunity to provide access to these tools that kids can use to create things. So when you're teaching, it's really exciting to use technology in the classroom, but it's even better when you can create it. And so video games are probably the most fun technology to create, and we get to do that and with this job, and it's really exciting to be here. Speaking of access, that's why we're called Endless Access, and it's really important to us that everyone has the opportunity to access learning opportunities and the game of Threadbare as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We work with some of the most disadvantaged learners in the world in some of the places that don't generally have access to the kind of digital economy solutions that we might offer. And for some of our kids, the idea of game development is a far off dream. Like, you know, for most kids, it's a dream, but for these kids, it's a real far off dream. And so we actually are extremely proud of the work that all of our team do in accessing those children specifically and bringing them to a digital economy and growing their skill sets from there.
Yeah, and that's why we've started the Loom Lounge, because this is an opportunity for us to share the background and provide even more information and open up the process of game development. We are an organization that believes in open source principles. And so sharing often and being open about our development is important to us. And this is what we do here. We use tools that are open source. We share what we're working on. And one of the tools that we use, in fact, the main tool that was used to develop the game of Threadbare, is called Godot. We're going to talk about that a little bit today, the Godot game engine. And show you some of the behind the scenes that we do to kind of, you know, work on the game and bring it to learners and allow them to explore what game development looks like for them.
So before we get started, let's talk games. What are video games? What kind of games are people most familiar with? What do we play? And I have a question for you, Heather, just to begin with, because I know that you are a gamer, and perhaps you and I are very different gamers, but you are a gamer and all gamers belong. But what is a game that you absolutely love, but has that one thing that you think, I wish they had done this. I wish that had been done better, or so, you know, like something you see as a kind of a flaw in the mechanics or a flaw in the art or something that just another path to development might have done differently.
That's an interesting question, because for me, it's not about one thing that kills the vibe, but it's about something that maybe I have a problem with personally. So I don't want to blame a game, but I'm going to go with Ori and the Blind Forest because I think it's a beautiful game. I think the music is beautiful. I think the art is beautiful. I think the concept, I love the little wisps and everything. But for me, the mechanics are difficult on a controller because I did not grow up using a controller. My brain was not wired in that way. So I know what I need to do to solve the puzzle in the game. I know that the character needs to go from here to here. But I then find myself repeatedly mashing buttons to make that action happen that I don't have the dexterity to actually accomplish. So then I get really frustrated and I wish I could play the game because I think it's beautiful. But I get stuck and I end up handing off the controller to someone who has more experience with hand-eye coordination. And then I feel like it's not as fun. But that's something that kind of makes it difficult for me, is needing to use a controller with some of those fine motor skills that I didn't develop at a young age. And it can be frustrating.
I understand that. That's a really interesting one. I mean, I've been gaming all my life. And I mean, I'm talking the original joysticks with the Atari 2600. And so it's kind of second nature to me. That said, I only discovered recently, and I want to do a bit of writing about this actually, is certain games, I will play certain games with a controller automatically and not others. So there are games that are definitively keyboard and mouse. And there are other games where, for some reason, I don't even think about it. It's a subconscious thing. That's a controller game. And one of the ones that surprised me recently was Elden Ring. I play mostly on a PC, and then I played Elden Ring, and within seconds, as I said to myself, oh, I need a controller. And I went and got my controller, plugged it in, and Elden Ring made sense. And yet, for those who are familiar with Elden Ring, it's no different from so many of the other third-person perspective games out there that I would play on a keyboard and mouse. So something about Elden Ring required for me to use a controller. Yeah, so I can understand sometimes where that frustration might be, because if I didn't have access to a controller for Elden Ring, I really would have struggled.
I've learned that I do much better with a keyboard and mouse. And I think because I work on keyboards, I don't have to look at it. Whereas with a controller, I have to look down and A, B, whatever the buttons are, right?
Yeah, it becomes a literacy, right? You and I talk about literacy so often in this. It's like an understanding, a deep level of understanding that applies to whether it's the controlling mechanisms or whether it's the art, an understanding of the art, or whether it's some of the mechanics that are in the game, knowing when to go left, when to go right, and when to stop. And some people don't, and it becomes these sort of like miniature literacies that are threaded, pardon the pun, throughout the
I'm also going to thread something here, which is that Threadbare is accessible with either a controller or a keyboard. Yes, I play it on a keyboard.
Yeah, and we are also on our roadmap, we have touch screen controls in mind, so it will also be available on mobile. Now, mine is slightly different. I thought about this long and hard, actually, and for me, I'm going to go back to Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider 1996, PlayStation 1, 10 out of 10. Nothing, there is no flaw. However, the series thereafter, and particularly the more up-to-date ones, there's a new Tomb Raider coming, Legend of Atlantis or something coming, and I'm very much looking forward to that. However, as they developed the series, something was lost. In my opinion, they tried too hard. The flaw was that it kind of went from being this like mysterious, wonderful, what would happen if you were this Lara Croft, Indiana Jones style person just stumbling into these Peruvian caves and discovering, to being almost driven like a movie. It was scene by scene, heavily scripted.
Hmm.
So I feel
Were
like
they made after the movies came out?
Yeah, they kind of spilled throughout. The franchise has been going for since the 90s. But and the last one, the last series that I played, which was the Shadow of the Tomb Raider and so on, they almost felt like I was just moving along to a movie, and every so often I would have to move left or move right. And so, I really struggled with a series that started off with this freedom of wonder and exploration, and then suddenly was like, well, actually, we're going to make this linear for you. We're going to very tightly control the things that you're doing. And it's almost going to feel like a bunch of cutscenes stapled together, and you're just going to kind of walk through them, almost like an interactive Netflix show, right? And that's what it kind of started to feel like. And that was such a shame, because one of my first big loves in gaming was
so the original is the best.
Well, Tomb Raider, yeah. Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, without a doubt.
Great. Well, let's talk a little bit about the organization of Endless Access and what our mission is here. Our vision is the whole world empowered. So we really want to make sure that everyone has access to opportunities that can advance their future, specifically with access to digital tools and a digital economy. So learning skills that can help you move forward and grow and find employment in areas of interest. And specifically with game making, we have the ability to impact lots of areas of interest. There's a holistic approach that we take here across all of the domains of game making. There's art, there's marketing, there's management, production, all of that. We also want to make sure that people have the opportunity to create something. That feeling of making something new that never existed before is very empowering. And so you can see our website down at the bottom of the screen. You can check us out. We also feel that access is important when it comes to the devices that you're using. We do have a device program, and we also want to make sure that we're using tools that don't require $1,000 setup. Like it's easy to get started with game making with even a low-end device using the game engine Godot and other open source free tools. And we kind of teach you how to use those, and we get really excited to expand access to game making in that way.
Absolutely. And we also we have a set of principles that we work towards, or we in fact they inform absolutely everything that we do. And those principles are actually, we talk through these, don't we? We kind of debate which one comes first.
Yeah, we actually, I've already said two of them without even trying, because we live them so much. Everyone belongs is one that we kind of started off with.
I mentioned that
where
earlier,
you know, everyone should have access to these things. That is our vision. And then I also referenced share often be open, which is another one of our principles, where we like to kind of, that's why we're here. We're talking about what we do.
And that's
your favorite?
Well, my favorite is play matters, because I do believe that play is fundamental to learning and genuinely matters to not just learning, but life in general. So play matters is in there. And we also have reflect and refine, where we encourage the reflection and refinement process in everything, and really trying to encourage the learners that we work with to constantly loop this create, reflect, and refine that creation.
Because it's messy, right? The act of creation, which is another principle. Create for impact is another principle that we have, which is, you know, making something that matters to either you or the world around you, your community, or the world at large. Having a reason to create, having that authentic audience for something that you've made is really important. And we love that about Threadbare. So we're not just making a game that's for teaching. We're making a game, like a real game that is really exciting to play and a lot of fun. And it just so happens that it can be used for teaching. So that's the level of impact that we like to shoot for when we say create for impact.
Actually, that's one of the really critical things that I hope stands all of the work that we do in this project out from so many of the other possible ways that this could be done, is that we really did work very, very hard to make sure that this was an enjoyable game to play, which is actually an entire industry in itself, right? That's a whole, people run companies and raise millions of dollars to make games that people want to play, building worlds, making that world building immersive and really nurturing the player side of things. But also as educators, it had to be equally as enticing as a learning and effective as a learning tool. And so that was a really interesting balance over the last year for our team. And I have to say, collectively, collaboratively, our team have done a remarkable job of making sure that that is really quite equally balanced. And I say that as both an educator and a time-served gamer. I think we've somehow managed to do both, I think.
Yeah, and that kind of ties into the last principle, which is that learning is not linear. And so we've recognized that learners and us ourselves and gamers, we have a journey that's not necessarily linear. You don't have to start with one thing and then go right to another. You can explore different avenues and come back and revisit things. And that's something we've done with the development of the game. Like we sat down and we wanted to really come up with an idea that would be fun and could be accessible by everyone. But we come back and revisit that every once in a while. We've got a great game development team, and we're always open to feedback on that as well. So there's been a lot of kind of mishaps along the way, because that's what learning is. And we're learning to build games just like the people that we work with.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier that it's been messy, and it has. It's been really messy, and scrappy is quite often a word that we use along the process. And I think, with the best will in the world, you can look at some of these, what seem like very well put together game studios out there, coming from some of the AAAs even. And I think if you got an honest answer from them, they would say it had been an incredibly scrappy project. And I think game making is scrappy. Heather, can you point to a situation in the last sort of Threadbare development phase where something was really messy and we kept messing it up, but we just kept hammering at it? It's just like, and that was okay, right? It has to be okay.
Yeah, of course. So like I will give a personal example. Threadbare is a game where learners can contribute what we call story quests. So a story quest is like a packaged mini game experience that has a beginning, middle, and end to it. You're telling a story. The entire theme of Threadbare, which we haven't really gone into, but we will, is that the world is unraveling. And the only way to save it is to experience stories and collect memory, imagination, and spirit from those stories to repair the unraveling world. It mirrors the real world. It's like there are some cultural and language loss that we experience as humans. And we want to kind of bring stories back to the front and center so that people can engage with one another across cultures, across families, across groups, to kind of connect and rebuild humanity. So that's the theme of Threadbare. So at the beginning of this, our team decided that we needed an example story quest, so that as any good teacher knows, you've got to go in front of kids with an exemplar. What should the final product look like? So I wanted to create one, and I did. And there is a story quest in the game called Stella and the Missing Star, and that was developed with our team. I wrote it and then required help from all kinds of people, and some of the steps that I did included Git. Now, Git is a tool that we use for version control. It's kind of like Google Docs for gaming, where you make a change in the game, but you want to make sure that someone else didn't make the same change at the same time, and those things can conflict. So in doing that, I was given access to what's called a repo, the Threadbare repository or repo, and that's where the main game is stored. And I got impatient in one of my, I'm going to change my story quest and fix it and then submit it to the main game. And in doing so, I had a little bit too much access to the repository as a less skilled engineer myself. Oops. And I kind of broke the game. And it was easy to do. It was a little too easy for me to do. And thankfully, our gracious engineers, Will and Manuel, were wonderful at fixing that mistake and then limiting my access, because I hadn't yet earned my stripes in that respect. But it's very simple to make a mistake like that. But what's really nice about it is it can be undone. And we work really hard to encourage our learners to actually make mistakes, because it's in doing that we learn. So
absolutely. And I think one of the key tenets of our work is working collaboratively. The whole principle of Threadbare, if you like, is collaboration on a global scale. And what's lovely about that is that there's something in there you didn't understand, and we have some wonderful engineers who are like, I'll take that for you. And they go off and they do that part. You literally took the same example I was going to give, which is GitHub. And it's tough, right? And I made mistake after mistake after mistake, because my strength, if there was one thing I could say is the strength is my ability to do some of the artwork and develop the sprites and make the animations and put that into the game. Getting that from my iPad to the game, that's a big gap for me. It's a big gap. I require other people to be able to help me do that or do that for me. And so when we talk about teaching collaborative game development through Threadbare, we literally mean that. Children in groups in classrooms all over the world now are setting up almost mini studios, right? And there's an artist who knows how to do the art and a sound mechanic who knows how to do all the sound. And there's someone who just knows Git. And that's generally what we're kind of finding is the way that this works. And it's actually a beautiful thing to watch.
It really is. And your artwork has been beautiful. I will give you a shout out for all of the art in the Stella Quest that you did. So I thank you for that. And it's been really nice to be able to lean on different people for their different skill sets, because that's what the world is, right? Nobody can be perfect at everything, for sure.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So that's a great segue into, well, what did we build? So let's take a look at that now. Yeah, let's take a look. Okay, so welcome to Threadbare. This is our logo, and you can see I already have a continue and a restart here, and we have some options in there. Heather, let me know if the music's playing. I actually have it turned off, but earlier I had an issue where it was still playing and I had to actually mute the window.
I do not hear the music right now.
There's a bug we could fix. And so we could talk about that one later and maybe see if someone wants to fix that in the community. So let's have a look. Actually, I think it was probably...
Do you want to turn the music back on?
Shall we? Let's see.
Try it just on the one and see, like, just...
There we go.
Yeah, I can hear it now. Oh, but I can't hear you.
Yeah, that's one of the problems you see is when we turn the music on, so we're going to have to work on that. That is definitely something we need to look at. However, that's the beauty of Threadbare, is that these are all the things that we're looking to fix as a community. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to click restart, and we'll take you through this from the beginning. And so you can see that we have this lovely introduction which kind of lays the story out and helps our players to really understand what it is they're walking into. So you know that feeling when that you get when you wrap yourself in your favorite blanket, like a cozy hug from a loved one. What if I told you that there was a world made of fabric not too far away and not too near that used to feel just like a hug? This world was made of stitches and stories, and people were happy until... And now we are introduced to our game. And so I'm using, as discussed earlier, we're using a keyboard and mouse. I'm using W, A, S, and D, and I'm just going to wander around. This is our little main character here called the Story Weaver. And you can see that I can move that character around the map.
I notice a new person. I don't see that. I haven't seen this person before that you're approaching right now.
Neither have I. So let me just walk past whoever that is, right? I'm just going to walk past that little character there. Sorry, haven't got time. I just want to take us over here just so that we can see what's going on in the world. I can kind of wander around a bit. We can see a bridge, which I won't cross. And we can also see these little mushrooms.
Little mushrooms.
All right, we'll talk about mushrooms shortly.
I can hear those, which is great. I just can't hear the background music.
Now, if I talk to this character is called an NPC, a non-player character. We have a villager. Welcome, traveler. Frey's End is just across the bridge. Now, Frey's End is the last bastion of civilization in an otherwise torn world. And what you might notice is that everything in this little world is made of fabric. So I'm standing on a yellow wool knitted path, and there is green wool for grass. And even the patchwork roofs, like even the roofs on the houses are made of patchwork or balls of wool. The trees flapping about there with their patches, everything is made of fabric and material. And we talked earlier about how the premise of this game is that everything is being stripped away and torn and unthreaded and unwoven, if you like. So as we move around the world, and actually, you know what I really love is that this is actually prior to this live stream, right up to just before we went live, we didn't have the lighting that you're seeing.
I was just going to say, this is new. I'm noticing the light is following the character. I wonder when that happened, but it's beautiful. I really like it.
Have you also noticed it's getting darker? If I go back down here and look at this, it's nighttime. So now we have this was only added to the game recently, but we have a day-night cycle.
That's great.
And so if we stand around in Fraser End long enough, it will become day, which is beautiful. Yeah. So we can move around and we can look at different things. We can talk to Marie. What does Marie say? Oh, you're trying to go to the West End. That path has been blocked by the void for years.
Void.
Right? Our cat is really upset about it. She used to love going over there. Please find Moss the monk, and she might be able to help you push back the void. And when we head over here, you can see that there's that starry kind of void to the west of the village. Nice. And there's our cat. Let's pet the cat.
You can pet the cat?
You can pet the cat.
Oh, I love that.
Yep, you can pet the cat. I can't remember what game it is. Is it Skyrim? I think it's Skyrim where you can pet cats. I might be wrong about that, but there is a
game. In, what was the game that I played where the dog died? It's not good.
Oh yeah, it was
Fallout, I think.
Fallout, yeah. And but the problem is, it eventually becomes a thing in this game. You see cats and you're like, oh well, if I've petted all the other ones, I shouldn't leave this one out, and it becomes almost like a mission to find and pet all cats.
We could include that in Threadbare. We could have some
time consuming.
Yeah.
Right, we could though. Okay. So now you'll see that we have a lore quest elder. There's a series of these sort of old men at the top of the there we are. There's another one. He's got funky glasses on. And there's a story quest elder, and then there is a template elder. Heather, do you want to talk about the differences and why this kind of leads into our this whole idea that this is a game and it's a learning tool?
Yeah, absolutely. So the lore quests on the left are related to the game specifically. So the game of Threadbare has a world, it has lore, it has the loom that you see in the center, it has all of the fabric elements and the houses and the trees, it has the void. What is that? I'm curious about that. It has this cat, maybe there's more. That is the world of Threadbare. And so when you go on a lore quest, when you talk to the lore quest elder and are sent on lore quests, those are specific to the game, specific to the world of Threadbare. But remember, we have story quests on the other side, and that is what learners would contribute to. Mm-hmm. So these are Stephen's showing you the lore quests right now. So on the other side of the loom, we have the story quests, and those are what learners contribute as the places where you can collect memory, imagination, and spirit. And those stories can be about anything. They can be spooky stories. They can be funny stories. They can be stories related to something that you're learning about in school. Like related to the curriculum. They can be family history stories. They can be cultural connection stories. So we have the ability to put anything in the game of Threadbare as long as it's a story, and anything can become a story. So the story quest is really that folder, that book that the elder gives you is full of stories that can be about anything, which is really kind of what we wanted because we were trying to get all kinds of ideas into one game, and stories are one of the best ways to do that. And lastly, the elder at the top is the template elder. And this is one of the tools that we use when we teach how to make a story quest. You can actually go inside this particular quest, which is the template. And in here, you can see what it looks like to build the game. So you might see a kind of a very simple expression of what Threadbare looks like. And in there are tools to help you kind of, there you go. So here is welcome to the story quest template. This is very simple, but it tells you exactly how to open this in Godot in the game engine and make edits as you go so that you can build your story quest. So it's kind of a scaffold, we call it in education, where it's just like a tool that you can use to help you build knowledge of developing your own story quest.
And it's a beautiful bridge, right? Because so often people will play a game, children will often play a game and say, I wish I could make that. And then they go to the professional tool and it's nothing like what they've just played. In fact, the divide is really, the gap is really quite wide. And what we've tried to do with Threadbare is say, you played this game and now you can literally develop this game using the same templates, the same functions. We're going to give you all of the instructions in game, and you're going to edit these sorts of things. So now you'll see we can actually play this character, and we have a basic enemy, and then we have a basic stealth function, and we're now going to head over here where we'll see another one. And so whoops, there we go. I'm going to avoid this person and then head down there. And so we can complete that. If we get caught, we have an end of level and restart function. And so using this as a template, the learners can really just go in here and they can change the characters, change the background, change the map.
It's like going behind the scenes. They can just kind of flip it around and look at the code and everything behind it and make some edits and see what happens right away, which is great.
Yeah. So let's have a quick look at a lore quest, and then we'll have a quick look at a story quest. Does that work?
Yeah, it's great. Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. So hello, Story Weaver. We've been waiting for you. Our world is unraveling. We need you to recover the sacred elements, the threads of memory, imagination, and spirit. Will you help us? Now, I will. Shall we do the musician's quest?
Okay. Well, I want to do the void. I want to know about the void.
Okay, so let's do the void quest. Now, lore quests, very specifically, as Heather mentioned, are pertinent to the world itself. They're the part that builds the lore out of the world. Why is it made of fabric? What is the void? Who are these characters and these people? And so what's lovely about that is that it kind of creates that immersion and that consistency across this world. And then the story quests allow the freedom for the characters. One of the main consistencies we have is this void. And if I move up and down, you'll see it's almost as if the world is split at the edges, and you can see the stars in the background. This is not the night sky. Do not be fooled. This is the void. And the void is the absence of culture. As stories are forgotten, as songs are no longer sung, as people stop caring, as communities break down, the void consumes the material of the world and says, well, if you're not connected, if you're not telling stories, if you're not maintaining your culture, I'll just step into the gap that you leave. And so sadly, this once whole and wholesome world is being stripped apart by the void. And we can see the active void at the bottom. This is what's called the void creep. And it's soon to become void bloom. So if we talk to Mirabelle, who seems to be trapped somewhere on an island in the void, an adventurer. It's not often that we get visitors here. What's going on? Says the story weaver. Across the water, I can see something dark and mysterious. A terrible force has come over our archipelago. That's the void. Our homes are safe only because we tell each other stories. And this place, our dear Linenville. Linenville, look at that. 2 islands away lives a wise monk. Seek her. She knows enough stories to restore Linenville. Sadly, I cannot reach her, but you might. Oh, that old chestnut, eh? Oh, my knees, you'll have to go for me. How can I find her, says the story weaver. Cross the bridge and follow the path, but beware. Once the void senses you, you will be in grave danger. Move swiftly. Okay, now, this is where some really lovely mechanics created by our engineers come in, because as we cross, I'm going to get this wrong to begin with. Let's make a mess of this. And as we move forward, I'm like, ooh, and now the void is going to follow me and it's going to catch me. And my character unravels and folds. What you'll also notice, we'll do this again, is as we move through, watch the void and the land that the void leaves behind. You'll see everywhere the void goes, it eats the land. And so the land becomes, so sometimes there's no going back because the void has literally taken the land from you. Now, if we think about that as a game mechanic, this is fine while we're playing, but for the learners using this as a game mechanic, imagine what they could do in the way of level design. It's like suddenly, oh, we have this void that can eat the tile map and literally change the way the game is played, change access to the world just as a mechanic. It's wonderful, absolutely wonderful. So we also have a run mechanic. So this time I'm going to hold shift and you'll see my little character runs a lot faster. Whee!
Oh, I'm nervous for you.
Oh, I'm just going to stop and get caught because I'm going to do it one more time. And so now we're going to try and run. We've just spoken to Mirabelle. Imagine that we are just going to try this first time and off we go. There we are. Whoops. I almost didn't make that bridge there. I'm going to run around here. And as I get to the top here, I'm going to take this one. Yay.
Oh, wow.
And now it's made it and it's stopped. And we can head over to our Moss the Monk. Moss the Monk says, an unfamiliar face. How did you get here? Well, it wasn't easy, says the story weaver. Thank goodness I made it. I'm sure the void poisoned our archipelago and the route has been treacherous. But not only that, that's why I'm here. Sorry, I missed that last bit. Somebody told me you knew stories that could restore this land so that we can heal it. Could you tell me one now about the old days without this scary void? And so what we're really doing here is we're encouraging it's all about those story quests. So it's like, well, if stories heal the world, then the more stories we make and the more stories we tell, the more wholesome and healthy the world becomes. And that creates this beautiful open loop for our players. It would be my pleasure. And of course, now we can see the restoring of the world.
Transition. That's gorgeous.
Look at that, right? Again, that's all mechanics in the game that can be manipulated by our learners and so on. So go and see what you can find out now that the world has been replaced and the void has receded. So now we can cross this bridge and we've got some ruined homes because, of course, people were displaced. And we also have a few more here, but we have memory. Of course, we asked the monk for a story of the old times, and now we collect the sacred thread called memory. Take the story I told you, this memory to Linenville. Hurry, help them. So now we're going to
notice that we collected memory, and it's up in the top right-hand corner as a collectible.
Yes, absolutely. It's up in the top right here. Yeah. And now Moss the Monk says, look, the void is blooming fast here. You'll need a grappling hook to get to Linenville. Take mine. So we've built in a grappling hook. So what's lovely about that is if we think about this on terms of mini games, what we've just seen is a racing game, if you like, a runner. They're called runners. And you get all sorts of different types. Our runner game was avoiding the void. But now we have a grappling hook. So there we go. My little grappling hook is collecting buttons. Pew, pew, pew. And then I'll do that as well. And if I grapple to this peg, I'm not entirely, how am I supposed to do this? Am I doing that? There we go. Using the mouse. Okay. Whee. So now I can start grappling around and going places.
Are you clicking with the mouse on the pin?
Yes, I'm clicking the mouse on the pin.
Nice.
Although this is actually a relatively new mechanic for me as well, because Threadbare is always evolving, and I actually haven't played with this one very often. And so you're seeing here that we now have a grappling hook mechanic, as well as the ability to run. We also have stealth. We have Sokoban puzzles. We have music and sound puzzles. We have combat, where you're able to, we'll actually show you some of the combat in some of the story quests. But we're going to head out here in the meantime. Now, at any time, just for the sake of this demo and time, I can now start to get rid of this by saying abandon quest. Sadly, we are going to abandon Linenville to the void. Sorry, Linenville. Whee! And that takes us
back later.
Yeah, absolutely. And so let's go into one of the story quests, because we just showed lore quests. Let's go into a story quest, and I'll play. You talk us through Stella and the Missing Star.
All right. So the Stella quest. We believe in you, Story Weaver. Become the hero and see where the path leads. So here's Stella. You can see that it was used. It used that template that we started with. We were in the template editor, which is great. Every night before bed, Stella finds her favorite constellation. As she counts the 3 stars on Orion's belt, she whispers 3 things about her day that she is grateful for: the warm tortillas her grandmother made for dinner, the thrill of a new book from the library, and the way her best friend's joke made her laugh so hard she couldn't breathe. But one night, something is wrong. A star is missing. Stella rubs her eyes, blinks, looks again, and the belt is incomplete.
Uh-oh.
Stars don't just disappear, her family tells her. Maybe a cloud is covering it. But Stella knows better. She tucks a small lantern into her pack because journeys should never be made in the dark, along with a bag of sweet tamarind cookies and her favorite old notebook, its pages filled with sketches of constellations and half-written stories.
Lovely.
And she sets off to find the missing light.
Now, again, that narrative and the writing that you see in there, that's all done at the development stage. That can be done by learners. They write their own narratives, they write their own dialogue, they write their own little signs. And so that there's a really nice literacy element to all of this as well.
Stella's journey takes her deep into the heart of Guatemala, where she finds a Mayan firekeeper tending hearth in a village.
All right, so
here
talk
she
to the
is.
firekeeper.
Yeah, so she wants to know, do you know why Orion is missing a star? Who was Orion? A hunter? No, child. Those 3 stars are the hearthstones of creation. The missing one, that was our fire.
And that's what the Mayans believed, right?
That's right. The maize god once kindled the cosmic flame. Without it, the world is out of balance. But fire is never freely given. It must be taken back. So it looks like we need to collect the fire and put it back in the hearth in order to restore the Mayans' version of Orion's belt.
And so some of you might recognize this stealth level. If I hide up here and wait for our Mayan idol to go past, and then we get to this one. Oh, look, it's
the Nitwitch.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, not just the Nitwitch, it's the level that we showed earlier.
Oh, yeah,
Wow. Oh, no, I've been caught. Oh, poor Stella's been caught.
She'll be all right.
Yeah, she's okay. She just comes back the next day. Look at that. Caught again. One thing I will say is I am really, Stella does not want. Go.
Oh no.
I can't. You're not allowed. Yeah, this is actually a really tricky level. What a
choice. You have to wait. You have to wait there.
Yeah, you do, don't you? Okay, let's try that then. Patience, huh? Okay, let's go in here. I'm gonna wait. Okay, Stella.
Wait.
Shh.
Wait. Now go. Oh no, wait. Now go, I think. Yeah, you did it. Good. There we go. Go. Oh, you made it.
Whee! And now
those Nitwitches are great because when you've got to one, you know that your progress will be saved. And so your Nitwitch is saving your progress. It's knitting your progress so that you don't have to go do that hard part again.
I want to get to the end of this just so that I can show that there are different levels. Go. Okay.
Patience is good. Patience.
Yeah, there's nothing coming here.
I'm so nervous right now. This is hard to watch. Go.
Yay! Up the stairs. Wait. I never knew they were here. There we go. Collect the memory. Right. Now we've collected the memory. Okay.
Stella looks up at the sky, but the star has not returned. She journeys on.
Wonderful.
Stella finds herself following the ocean breeze to the quiet shores of northern Australia, where she meets a Yolnu fisherman mending his net. Do you know about my missing star? Is it from the hunter? From a hearth? Hunter, hearth? No, that's Jewel Pan, the canoe that sails the sky.
I was hoping you were going to do an Australian accent, I'll be honest.
Oh, I can't. Oh, that'd be nice, but One of the canoe stars was a fish that leapt overboard, plunging into the dark sea. Without all 3 stars, the canoe is incomplete.
In
this game, we need to get the fish into the boat.
Excellent.
Here they come. So this is the combat mechanic, which we have not shown yet, I don't think yet. But this, in some of our lore quests, we have a combat mechanic where we combat ink from ink drinkers. And so in this level, we used that mechanic, but instead of ink, we're combating fish. And it needs to be the starfish that go into the boat.
Okay. Well, the starfish aren't coming over here.
That little starfish is not feeling.
That starfish is like, surprise! Oh, the starfish! This is unbelievable.
You've got to get them before they disappear.
Yeah, well, at least if
there
I do
you go.
that,
That's gonna work. Right? It's gonna work.
Go on.
There they are. Now you've got
go. Yay! 2 starfish.
One more starfish. You got this.
No. Oh, there he goes. Yay! Get him.
All right.
Yay! Okay, now we get the idea. Okay, I'm gonna abandon this quest now, but I think that's the idea, right? Is all of this kind of falls together. And what's lovely is that any learner anywhere in the world can contribute anything in any capacity to this game. That's the beautiful thing about all of this.
Stephen, can you go back to the beginning? I'd love to show those flowers that we got from learners in The Netherlands, yeah. So we went to the Netherlands to do this with a group of learners, and they only had cell phones on them. They did not have laptops. But we were able to, in 45 minutes, have them create little assets that we put in the game. And some of those assets are the flowers that you see to the right. So even something as small as a tiny art asset can be a contribution to this game and really make you feel like you're part of something really big, community-driven.
Brilliant. So shall we conclude the demo there, or is there more? Do you think there's more to show?
Yeah, we can probably stop the demo, because I do want to make sure we talk about what open source is.
Yeah, that's really
we
important.
kind of mentioned that at the beginning, and there's something really powerful about community development in an open source community. So open source means that it's open and accessible for literally anyone. And even those learners I was talking about who developed those flowers did that with the understanding that it's going into a game that they can see behind the scenes of and contribute to. And what's really nice is somebody else might look at that flower and be like, you know what, I want to use that in a story quest, but I want it to be yellow instead of pink.
Yeah.
And so they can mod that asset because it's open source, it's Creative Commons licensed, and they can use it in their own, they can mod it and use it as they see fit for their own story quest. So there's a lot of sharing that happens, a lot of collaboration and idea sharing, and it's really just a welcoming environment. Again, everyone belongs. So the ideas can be kind of freely given, shared, used, and reused to make the game collectively better for all.
Yeah. Do you, hang on, I think I need to switch the game. There we go. I just got away from something that was making a noise in the background on the game. So do you remember the joy that the teachers in South Africa had when we basically got them to develop something, and then we said to them, and when you develop it, it will appear in the game? And they were all, you could tell they're kind of like, I'm going to make something and then it's going to be there. And we did it, and there was just this like, that's my asset, that's my shark. They made a shark and they made a flag and some other stuff. They were like, wow. It was really incredible. And I think that's one of the great joys of a project like this, is that you literally contribute, and then everyone else around the world sees what you did. It's fantastic.
That's something that's often missing in school projects, right? The authentic audience. So your teacher tells you that you need to like write a report or make a poster, but the poster never gets hung up anywhere. It's just like a fake thing that doesn't have a real audience. It doesn't go anywhere. And this, they're contributing directly to a game that is getting played by a lot of people around the world. Just for some numbers, I think it might be interesting to say that we've used this game in over 13 countries. I think we might be at 14 now. And 26,000 learners have been a part of this. So we've done a lot. We've reached a lot of learners, and we are so excited to keep growing and just bring this experience to many, many more.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, and on top of those accolades, we just won an award at GDC. Yeah. We won the award for Best Game Development, Best of GDC in the Game Development category. And it was noted that actually, I mean, if you aren't familiar with GDC, it's the Game Developer Conference. It's huge. It's game developers from all over the world kind of gather to show off what it is that they're making and building. Funders are there to try and fund those projects, to look for projects to fund. Publishers are there to look for things to publish. And there's our little image kind of squished over there. That's great. That's our little, thank you so much to our production team. That's fab. We won the award, and we absolutely did not expect it. It was one of those awards where you don't apply for it. It was just, they walk the floor.
It's like a secret shopper thing, right?
Shopper thing, and then people were like, that's the one. But what was really nice was that our team reported, I wasn't at GDC, and I know, Heather, you weren't either, but our team reported that so many people on the floor, developers, like gamers, all sorts, were just like, wait, you have a game and I can learn to, this is incredible. So we're really, really proud of that as well.
Yeah, that's great. So I have a question for you, Stephen. We've just played the game of Threadbare, and we talked about a lot of those mechanics that are new and a lot of the different things that are possible and how anyone can contribute. if you could add one really kind of off, like a weird or crazy feature to the game, what would you add? What would be something that you'd want to see? I mean, you're the creative director of this game, right? So maybe it's not fair to ask you that.
It's not, because I also know what's on the roadmap. But
yeah.
But you know what? There's things we can't put on the roadmap. The truth is, there's 1,000 things. And wouldn't it be cool if we could have this? Wouldn't it be cool if we could have that? No, you know what I would love? I would love to find, to figure out a way of creating some sort of really deeply hidden lore systems. So players in a year's time, and I'll give you an example, Deathloop, made by Arcane Studios, wonderful, wonderful game. And you're basically stuck on an island and kind of, you repeat the same day over and over and over and over again. I played that game for 3 years. And it was in my 3rd year of playing it, I discovered a new character that there was a window in a building that I had never looped myself into. And I saw this window and was like, have I been in there? And I went in and there was a whole storyline. There was a woman in there who was stuck in the same loop and she was waiting for you with a very significant message. 3 years that took me. Yeah. I love that. Like, I love the idea that over time, somewhere in Threadbare, there will be these characters or creatures that have never been discovered. Like, take us back to like the era of the world when, the Amazon had never really been explored, or the oceans as we know them had not really been kind of sonared and scanned as much as they had. Who knows if Sasquatch is out there? The Loch Ness Monster of Myron, Scotland, right? And it's like, it's almost, if we could create something that deeply hid those things, so that in 2 years' time, people are like, would you believe that if you go down that path and in that hole and you go behind that building and you go through there and you speak to that person, you end up in this forest that no one in the world has seen? I love that. That sort of like really deep Easter egg type of thing.
Yeah, I think mine would be similar, not necessarily like a deep Easter egg, but just this thing that is like not the main quest, not the lore quest, not a story, but just this little side thing. And I think what kind of sparked me thinking about that was the cat earlier, where it's like, wait a minute, every time I come across a cat, I could pet the cat. And then maybe by the time I get to like the 20th cat, something happens. And I wouldn't know that until I actually just try this thing that nobody else is trying, but I'm curious about it. Yeah, so I would love that.
I see someone's just suggested add magic.
I do love
Watch this space.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. They're great.
Right? Exactly. Like shiny Pokemon. Someone else has said, like those very, very hyper rare cards. Bingo. Yeah. That's exactly it. Maybe even you could collect them. And then you get some sort of.
We have Capricorns.
We have Capricorns, don't we?
Capybara unicorns.
Yeah. And we haven't launched them yet. They're not actually in the game. No, it's not a secret. No, it's not a secret. No. We love talking about this. It tells us
how many people watched all the way through the live stream. That's great.
And they're like, oh, Capricorns. We know we do. In fact, there might be a Capricorn somewhere on our grand background, but we do have Capricorns, and we will be introducing them to the game very shortly.
Yeah, it would be fun to do an episode here where we kind of cover all of the different creatures. Threadbare,
we'll do that.
So fun,
we'll definitely do that. Also, a competition for naming those creatures, because we've designed them, but we don't have the Threadbare themed. Yeah, the rabbits are called spindle hops. We put that out as a poll online, but we still don't know what we're calling sheep. We still don't know what we're really going to call the Capricorns. Maybe Capricorns. We don't know what we're going to call some of the other things. So watch this space.
That's great. I think we're nearing the end of the live stream, and what we would like to tell you about is that next episode, we're going to be talking about the history of Threadbare. So how our team pulled this together. There's some crazy stuff. It happened very quickly, and we had a lot of ideas, and it was a lot of fun. And most of us were not game developers at the beginning, but we kind of are now. So it's been really a really fun journey, and it will be really nice to kind of explain why we made the game that we made. Talk about how we connect it to like the learning process, and even kind of show you some of those mistakes that we've talked about, some prototypes and some really messy things, so that you can kind of see that this is actually for everyone, and that it's okay to kind of mess up as you learn.
Absolutely. And to finish up, if you are live with us, please drop a comment and tell us what you'd like to see, in terms of this game development, which is a funny thing to say, right? Because I'm like, hey, why don't you drop a comment and tell us what you'd like to see, not just on this live stream, but in Threadbare. But the truth is, you can make it. You can do it. So it's kind of like, yeah, tell us what you'd like to see, and then go make it. And then send it to us. Like there's the address at the bottom. You can see github.com/endlessm/threadbare. Get in there, download the game, and then start making. And then please contribute. We also have, for some people, they're like, well, I didn't really want to make a graphic, and I didn't really want to make a sound, but I did find a bug that I fixed. We want bug fixers.
Yes, please.
Come in, check it out, and get involved. You are more than welcome.
Yeah. And we also have a Discord where you can pop in questions and kind of talk to our developers. So feel free to join that Discord. The question at the bottom of the screen is a great question to put on Discord. Better game engine for beginners, Unity or Unreal. We use Godot, which we find is really great for beginners. So we're going to always say,
that's a really nice way of saying neither.
Yeah, right. Like it's actually Godot that is really nice. I was talking to a university director this week, and they were telling me that Godot is one of the easiest that their learners have used in comparison to Unreal and Unity. So it is nice to try out something new, and open source Godot is a great way to do that.
Well, and the other thing to keep in mind is, and I know we're coming to the end of the stream, but the other thing to keep in mind on a question like that, and thank you for your questions, please keep them coming, is the right tool for the right job. I mean, Unreal Engine and Unity are two completely different engines, and they do two completely different things. And so, and then therefore, Godot also does something completely different. And so, yeah, what is it you're trying to achieve? Because all engines, including Godot, require an investment of time. They require a knowledge base that you will build up over time. And so throwing yourself at an engine and thinking, I'll pick that one, is not the best approach to go about it. So if you're watching this and you are thinking, like the question below is like, well, where do I start? Do some research. Think about what it is that you're trying to achieve. What is it that you're looking to publish, and then choose the tools or the engine in this case that's appropriate. But yeah, if you want to get involved in Threadbare, it's definitely Godot.
Yeah, and again, join the Discord so that you can ask questions like that and engage in conversation with us. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been fun hanging out with you and answering questions. We want you to keep making stuff. We want you to be creative, and we definitely want you to join our community. So hopefully we will see you next week, and thanks for hanging out.
Thanks so much, everyone. Take care. Bye.